Every 75 years, Halley's Comet returns to the sky. Every 7 years, Vulcans return to their home planet. And every 13 weeks, the big grid format returns to iRacing. Today, from Road America, a new event makes its debut. It is the first Week 13 Formula Renault 2.0 Big Grid Race. And all the action from green flag to victory donuts is brought to you live as it happens here on the Global SimRacing Channel. From America's Dairyland, hello and welcome to GSRC's Countdown to Green. It's cyberspace flows into your place over these 15 streamy award-worthy minutes. GSRC will bring you all the storylines, all the stats and facts you'll need to fully appreciate the 21 laps of simulated Formula Renault 2.0 action that will immediately follow as we count down to green. And here to do all of that is your GSRC broadcast crew way up in the press box to bring you our Words Eye View is yours truly, Bill Soupson. Pleased to be joined by someone whose racecraft I have criticized for many seasons. Now for the first time joins me in the booth, none other than the fan belt himself, Johan Vanderbilt. Turning the knobs and pushing the sliders is our director, Sean Ambrose, armed with cameras located, aimed, zoomed, and focused by GSRC's camera guru, Dougie Beard. If you're looking for a track with flow, then it'd be hard-pressed to find one with a more healthy prostate than Road America. But for a more helpful description, let me reintroduce my booth mate, Johan Vanderbilt.
Hey there, Bill. Well, I haven't checked its prostate, but it sure does flow. Road America, established over 60 years ago in 1955, it has become a legendary track for real and sim racers alike. This 4-mile or 6.5 kilometers for European people permanent circuit hosts 14 turns and has been challenging the world's best race drivers since its founding. It's located on 640 acres of park-like ground between Milwaukee and Green Bay in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and the rolling terrain offers great viewing opportunities for the fans. Real-life race fans might recognize the track from IndyCar or the NASCAR Xfinity Series, but there's a lot more action than just that at Road America. The circuit currently hosts over 400 events per year, including the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, the SCCA Pirelli World Challenge, and Pro Racing Trans Am Series and National Motorbike Series like ASRA or the AMA Superbike Series. Road America is considered by some to be the best of road racing in North America, and hopefully we'll get a depiction of that, because in 10 minutes time the green flag will drop and 60 roaring Formula Renault 2.0s will be released. But for now, let's hop on board one of the most special Formula Renault 2.0s out there, the one painted in its classic GSRC colors and driven by our friend Joe Peak, as he takes us on a lap around Road America.
All right, we've got Amjad Yammer, the GSRC Formula Renault 2.0, so let's do a lap around Road America. Coming up the front stretch, turn 1 is a potential passing zone, but it's still a fairly fast corner, so it'll be more about the draft getting you alongside than it is about outbraking your opponent. Watch your corner exit too, because a spin doesn't offer up much room to recover on either side. From there, we drop downhill a little bit before we brake for turn 3. This is a very important corner to get right, so back up your entry a little bit to offer yourself a better launch off the turn. It should become clear why you need to focus on the exit. This is one of the longest straights into one of the heaviest braking zones, but the moraine sweep offers some other challenges because of how it weaves back and forth. It can be hard to tell if someone is drifting to defend or just taking a natural line. Down into turn 5, expect a lot of overtakes here, but also expect a number of drivers to outbrake themselves and run wide. This big black curb is all fair game though, so use it up. Then, it's a short burst to 6 where the crest tends to cause the car to get light. If you miss the apex, don't worry, you're not the first and you won't be the last. Switch sides quick because you'll need the whole track to stay flat-footed through turn 7. That leads us into the hurry downs. The plunge into the braking for 8 tends to offer up an opportunity to launch a surprise attack. Just watch out for the lack of grip from being offline. Now, as we fly into the bridge, we hit the carousel. Avoid the temptation to apex early. If you can walk the tightrope beside the marbles, stay a little wide, then swing the car back in so that you can get to the power early. That takes us racing towards the infamous kink. Thankfully, in the high downforce Renault, it's flat out and not quite as difficult as it is in some cars. I still wouldn't advise trying it too wide. But now we're into the kettle bottoms, where there's going to be a little jink to the left that makes the braking tricky. To keep the car more settled, straighten it out. Canada Corner is another place where plenty of passes happen or wind up going completely awry. Don't outbrake yourself to make it the former. Coming up to 13, there's a frustrating blind crest hiding the apex from your vision. You won't have much time to get the car back across the track and offer yourself the best line for the final turn. Absolutely make sure you get the exit of this one right, because the front stretch really is the longest straight on the course. To add to that, you have this steep uphill climb to punish anyone who hesitates on the gas. But hopefully you kept it all together and have finished a lap around Road America.
The highlight of any GSRC broadcast is when Joe Peak does what, in my opinion, does better than anyone in sim race broadcasting, and that is take us around a racetrack. And this time, it was the 4 miles of Road America. So far, this broadcast has painted with a big brush. Johan, let's do a little detail work here and go over some of the specifics of this special event.
Absolutely. Well, Bill, like you said before, tonight will be the first Week 13 Formula Renault Big Grid race. The race will take part over 21 laps, which is 84 miles or 135 kilometers. The grid size is 60 cars, and at the moment when I'm looking at the qualifying, I feel that we're not right at the 60, but around 40, 50 cars. So it will be a beautiful metal train that we'll see through the hills of Wisconsin. The setups will be open. That means that the drivers can tweak and change their downforce, their fuel setups, whatever, but there will not be a pit stop for fuel. So the drivers will start and do 21 laps in one go. There's not an instant cap, so yeah, the drivers can use all the track and go a little bit wide to get all the speed that they want to overtake people, and there will be one fast repair if everything goes wrong.
And of course, without a pit stop involved here, if you have to pick up a fast repair, your chances of a good finish are pretty much done. Let's go ahead and look at some of the names that we're going to be covering. Fans of our Friday broadcast, the Apex Online Racing League, will be familiar with the man sitting at the top of the chart, and that is Mark Usher in the number 8 machine. There he is in his familiar dark blue car. He's putting in a qualifying time. It's open qualifying going on right now, so all the cars are out there just trying to put in their best time. That can be a little bit skewed sometimes, Johan, because you can get a draft and your qualifying time can be a little faster. Right now, Mark Usher sitting in at the top with a 2-minute, 1 second, .609.
And I have to say, I've been following some of the practice sessions, and Mark has been showing great pace all around the week. Basically, in every practice session that I saw, his name was on the top of the screen. So to me, it's no surprise that he's currently leading the field in qualifying. Behind him, it's Mac Beckham. I don't think there's a driver with higher iRating here. The guy rocks an iRating of 6,800. So that's one of the drivers that will surely see battling for victory today.
Yeah, let me just correct you. 8,600 on that one. Yeah, he's
sorry.
way up there. Yeah, that's all right. The 6,800 for Usher sitting at the top of the chart right now. In fact, didn't you go ahead and do a little check on how his iRating fared in overall? Yeah. He was up there top 10 or something like that, right?
Yeah, insanely high. He can really battle with the top road iRacers in the world. So I'm really curious to see not only how he races and see him show his racecraft on the broadcast tonight, but also how he interacts with the people that might not have such a high iRating, and see if he can actually beat them on track.
Now, with 21 laps, you talk about how he's going to interact with the rest of them. I think with this large grid, as we're looking at right now, I think 43 cars have put in qualifying times. We have 43 entries on the list. I would think lap traffic from some of those guys at the back, even though this is 4 miles around, I got to figure 21 laps is enough time for the leaders to catch the back of the pack, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I think so. If I look at the back of the qualifying sheet at the moment, I see some people are doing a 2.7, 2.8, so they are around 6-7 seconds slower than the top guys, and that kind of will mean that at the end of the race, when really everything will be on the line for that final victory, those lead pack drivers will catch up to the last cars in the train.
Looking at Santiago Carducci right now, currently one of those drivers that sits farther down the order in 42nd position. We are going to do, no, he's not related to Father Frank there, Sean. That's the demographics here. That's way too old for that one. We are going to do our best to cover the action all the way through the field, but to be honest, with such a large grid, It's going to be hard to get a hold of everybody. We'll do our best to cover everybody, though. Why don't we take a quick look at the driver sitting in third? Car number 92. It is David Jarvis.
Yeah, and David Jarvis has shown really good pace so far. He's currently around 1.5 tenths behind the leader Mark Usher, who's still on top. And as you can see, it's really close on top. He's around 100 of a second in front of P4, Patrick R. Kessler. So that means that if these guys are really able to keep this pace consistently during the race, it will be a really tight battle for those podium positions. One position behind Kessler, we see Angus Waddell. Angus is at the moment in P5, and I don't know Bill, but in the practice sessions he was also up there. So I really think that Angus is one of the drivers that can go for the victory today as well.
Again, I think with the nature of Road America, if you can just say somewhere near the front, I would think the top 10, there's probably enough draft here that we can get ourselves a little train going on. Not a lot of technical sections. Well, I have plenty of technical sections, but not enough in a row where a driver can escape on talent. With about 1 minute in qualifying to go, let's assume that most of the cars have put in their qualifying time. Since we have a large field and a standing start, both Johan and I want to get our GSRC's commentator bonus for getting through the entire grid before they go green. So let's see if our director can bring up the qualifying time right now. We'll do them 10 at a time. On the front row, it's Mark Usher inside of Smack'em Mac Backham. In the second row, it is David Jarvis and Patrick Kessler. Row 3 is populated by Angus Watto and the race organizer, Luca Verani. Phil Reed, a familiar name in the Apex Online Racing League, is inside of Joshua Ladd. The fifth row is filled up by Alexei Sorokin and Jerry Mojak.
Yeah, Gregory Olsen is the first driver on row 6 next to Christoph Ehmann. Jordan McDonnell is in P13 next to Lubomir Moric. Evan R.T. Imre, P15, joined by Patrick Wartenberg on row 8. Carlos Alvarez Diaz in P17 in front of Mike Cannon, who's qualifying in P18. Giovanni Celito in P19 in front of Chris Burgers, who's the last driver in the top 20.
Hidden Blackjack is the Polish driver, Jacob Jezierski, and flanking him is Little Bird, Sarah Dove in the double duck position. Little Bird in the double duck spot. Scott Clark in 23rd, William Knoll in 24th. In the quarter century mark, it is Marcin Kapkowski, Thomas Knoll outside of him, Andrea Brachetti in the 27th position, Michael Nesser outside of him. 29th and 30th goes to Richard Katz and David Santana.
Well, the driver with probably the most beautiful name on the grid, Davide Giovanni Solbiati, is 31st, joined on row 16 by Marcio Marodin. Alistair Hay is 33rd with Dan Levin, one position behind him. Steve Bauman in spot 35 next to Xavier Knott. Ivan Sanchez Gutierrez is 37th next to Derek Beatty. Tim Phillips is 39th, rounding out the top 40, Santiago Carducci.
And our big grid looks like we only have 46 here today, a little short of the 60 they were hoping for. Jonathan Almanar, Jason Wagner behind him, David Martin Letty in the 43rd position. Last driver to put in a qualifying time is James Stone. Two drivers that didn't post times. Now, this guy is fast, Charlie Summers, but he is notoriously falls victim to bad internet connections. And Lance Simon, who is still out there right now, trying to get in that last qualifying time. I'm not sure if he's going to make it. I think he's on a hot lap. Director, can we take a look at Lance? And we're going to see if we can find him right now. I think he's got a chance. He has yet to put in a time, so let's see where he grids. He's got to hustle around. If he can get one in, then we'll just move everybody else behind him down one spot, Johan.
Yeah, exactly. And this is, of course, like a difficult position for Lance, because in a big grid race like this, you don't want to start from the back. So what do you do if the clock is ticking and you only have one opportunity for a lap? Do you go all out and go for those top positions, or do you take a little bit slower, make sure you don't get an off track to maybe qualify halfway? We'll now see what Lance is doing when he crosses the line.
And I don't think that was a clean lap, so unfortunately, I think Lance is going to be relegated down there to the back.
Beautiful recovery race ahead of him then.
Let's give you an over-under. Let's give you an over-under on Lance. We're going to say the over-under on him is position 32.5. So get to the betting window now. And if you want the under, it's 32. Over is 33. Johan, what's the weather look like?
Yeah, the weather today, the sky is almost clear, mostly cloudy with 72 degrees of Fahrenheit. ambient temperature. The track temperature is a little bit warmer, 83 degrees Fahrenheit, and there's not a lot of wind, what I see.
No,
Quite,
very, very
quite,
calm.
quite calm, quite calm. Humidity 56% and no fog, so clear skies for the drivers and for the viewers.
Track temperature should be very friendly to the drivers as it's going to offer some grip. And of course, these Formula Renault 2.0 cars, even if the weather is cold, they now have tire warmers that came in the last couple builds. So that helps out a little bit as well. Let's focus our attention up front. It is Mark Usher and Smack'em Mac Backham in the number 16 car going to be making up the front row. They are the two cars to beat. We'll see if David Jarvis can hang on to the back of them. Patrick Kessler, I know Patrick, he's very quick, might not have quite the pace as Usher. They make up row 2. Angus Waddell, also a very strong competitor, and then Luca Verarni. So there's your top 6, waiting for everyone to take the grid.
Yeah, and basically to talk a little bit more about what you just said, Bill, like one of the things that I'll be really looking out for today is the packs that will be forming, because this is a long race on a track with very long straights. Will groups form? Drivers that are around the same pace can stay in each other's draft and basically separate themselves from the rest of the field. And I'm really curious where the cutoff point will be near the top guys, because if you look at Mark, at Mac, they're all quite close to each other. So at the moment, I see 2/10 difference between P4 and P5, Patrick and Angus, and also 2/10 between Angus and Luca. I think the cutoff point might be there. So you see a 4 or 5 or 6 car group for the lead.
And what's a little different from some of the races that we cover, no pit stop here. So there's no waiting until the pit stop and then the racing to begin after that, something you're familiar with in the Absolute Beginner League. Racing starts right from the green flag.
Absolutely. A sprint race starting with green and only stopping when the black and white checkers drops.
Waiting for that one driver to come out there. Is that Kessler we're still waiting on to take his spot? You can see the hole. That is the 4th position, waiting for Patrick Kessler. He's familiar with GSRC. He's probably just taking this time to make sure that Johan and I got our GSRC's commentator bonus for getting through the entire field. We got it. GSRC paying for our lunch. And gather up the chicken stick, cover behind the cows, because the horses are out of the barn. And it is Mark Usher leading the way. A battle for second. Look at diving in underneath. That's David Jarvis getting underneath Mac Beckham.
Big crash in turn 1. William Noel is, I think it takes something like almost 8 cars out already in turn 1.
Names involved. Noel involved on that one. Lathan involved on that one. Some other cars. One car almost got turned over. It was Sobiati got involved in it, as was Muradin was also involved. We'll see if we can come back and look at that one a little bit later. Right now, the racing continues up front.
Yeah, Mark Usher, like you say him, he really separated the lead immediately. He's, more than a second, it seems, in front of Mac at the moment. So he really took the most of the start, had a blistering start, and tries to really stay in front of his competitors now, make sure that they cannot catch up in the draft.
And I can report that the Swiss driver, Patrick Kessler, did not grid from the 4th position. They waited and they waited and they waited. I was actually checking through to make sure he was okay, and the green flag came out, and they went. Meanwhile, we talked about what was going to happen up front. Picking him up and putting him down is the man from the UK, Mark Usher. He's opened up a 1.2 second lead over Backham. Early racing, though, going on.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is a few that he really will like to see, I think. Just distancing himself from the rest of the competition, getting in the flow and really being able to get down those quali times that he showed. Like he already showed in practice and in qualifying that he has the speed. And if he also is all alone on track, it can be really good, but maybe also a really quiet race for Mark Usher.
Don't be confused by the numbers on the screen right now. Usher is indeed your leader. It's going to show him a little farther down as some of the drivers have taken a tow, and they have actually, like, if you're playing Monopoly, they've passed go, collected $200, and gone to pit lane. That's why they scored ahead. Now, as Usher crosses the start-finish line for the first time, working lap 2, our timing and scoring catches up, and he's correctly shown in first position. Backham in second. How about the drivers behind him? Angus Waddell and David Jarvis race in 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, Phil Reed is behind him in P4 in front of Joshua Ladd, who's currently in P6.
And actually, the train is pretty good, other than the engine running away. They're nicely lined up in a row. Luca Verani in 7th position. How about a pass for 8th? Can we go back to Alexei Sorokin being challenged right now? They are side by side by Gregory Olson. There they are. That's Olson making the move on the inside. He gets that spot. Move Gregory up into 8th. Alexei back into 9th. All that going ahead of the final driver in top 10, Jordan McDowell.
Yeah, and while you were looking at that, Bill, Mac Beckham was being freight trained for P2. David Jarvis got by him going into at the end of the first back straight.
Oh, yeah.
And while that happened, Angus Weddell thought immediately, like, I want some of that too, some of those podium positions. So Mac Beckham lost 2 positions in one spot. While David...
Yeah. Waddle is off from 2nd. That was going through the carousel, the last part of the carousel, and then he brought it back on. Boy, the racing up front is intense. He has fallen back to 8th position now. He's being gobbled up. Let's stay on it. Here comes Sorokin around him. He's split right down the middle. Let's stay on this as we get to Waddle if we can in 8th spot. Now let's go up. There it is. McDowell in 8th. As he gets there, we're not going to be able to see that. There we go. You got it. Oh, we're looking at the replay. That's Waddle going off. Let's stay on it, director. Okay, now this is happening tape delay. Let's stay on this live because in a second, he's going to be gobbled up by the guys I was talking about. And this gets really intense. Stay on here for a little while longer. Here they come. One goes right, one goes left.
It's like that Ricardo Sonta overtake a few years ago in Formula 1. One car on the left, one car on the right, and he has nothing to do, nothing to offer in defense against that.
Great work from our director to get that nice job. So what does that mean? That puts Mark Usher up in front. Oh, kids, if you're scoring at home, get out your clipboards. 2.6 seconds ahead of the driver in 2nd. Now it's back. It is. Slamming Mac Beckham is back there again in 2nd spot.
And Joshua Ladd just had a little spin. He was touched in turn 1 by Phil Reed. I think that Joshua can continue his race, but he lost a lot of positions because of that contact.
Yeah, that's a good one. They were racing inside the top 10. Reed right behind him. Got into the back of Ladd, gave him a little help going around. Ladd's going to fall way down. He's lucky to cycle out. He cycles out inside the top 20, about 18th.
And I'm curious if Phil got any damage because of that, because these cars, they do have a front wing and they rely on that for downforce. So a little tap like that, I'm curious how much damage and how that will affect his race from now on.
Our director's found a good spot here as we're back in a pinata full of bees right there. This is back in about 17th position. Not missing anything up front as Usher's really running away from it. Here's where the action is. It really starts at about 15th spot with Mike Cannon out in front. Then in 16th is Carlo Alvarez. Now there is some contact back there. I can report that Jason Wagner just got tangled up with another driver. They were racing outside of the top 20. If our director has a replay, let's go ahead and show it if he can find it. Like to go through the field, so we hate to give attention to the drivers farther back when they make a mistake, but there you see Wagner going off, and it gets a little worse. Oh! And Wagner's day is done. So, if we're coming back live, let's go ahead and check in on that Hornet's Nest. What do you say, about 15th position?
Yeah, it's a cackle of cars there at the moment. I'm looking at Mike Cannon, who's under heavy pressure of Joshua Ladd. Joshua Ladd, who was just turned around, but really is not disappointed. He's going to make the most of this race and is going to get a position. So Joshua back into P15.
Yeah, Joshua making his way up after getting a little help going around by Phil Reed. Somebody to keep an eye on there is Joshua Ladd.
One thing a little bit more up front at the race, Mark Usher is still 2 seconds away from Mac Beckham. But one thing that I just noticed is that Mac made up 4/10 in the last lap. So if he can keep up this pace, it will only be 5 laps and we'll have a battle for the lead.
With all the contact going on out there, I see that only 2 drivers are, well, really only 1 driver. Alistair Hay is not racing right now. It looks like he's a lap down. He might still be racing. Patrick Kessler, of course, did not make the start. There's Mac Beckham.
And Jerry Mojak is in a heavy battle. Oh, behind him! Jordan McDonough gets a push around in the carousel. Oh, hit by several drivers.
Find out who that McDonald there got collected, got pushed. I think that was Evan Emery that got into the back of him initially. Emery gets pushed off, and then the car gets loose and sits in the middle of the road. And then that is Patrick Wardenberg that gets into the car that's off on the sand. So there's Emery giving him a turn. Now Wardenberg has nowhere to go. Bang!
A heavy contact also for Patrick Wardenberg. He was kind of committed to his line through the carousel, and yeah, he had nowhere to go anymore. Hit him square on the gearbox. Jordan McDonald still limping to the pits, I think, getting that fast repair, and then trying to get back into the action. But this will cost him a lot of positions. He was, of course, comfortably in the top 10. But yeah, this will hurt his chances.
Johan, good point. I must admit I had forgotten about the fast repair. That explains why there are so many drivers still out there racing.
Another crash that just happened in the last corner, including Mike Cannon, Carlos Alvarez Diaz, some other drivers as well, as I'm seeing. Some drivers got turned around into the last corner.
We're going to take a look at this one. We can get this one on replay. Our director is Johnny on the spot today.
One of the drivers that you'll see in this contact is the blue car of Joshua Ladd. Now, Joshua is not having a great race build. This is already the second contact that he had. And I don't think it's his blame so far.
It's got to be feeling like they're out to get him. Yeah, we can't get that one when we continue the look there at Ladd. Let's catch our breath and run down your top 10 to tell you what's going on up front. Mark Usher, it was 2.6 seconds. It's now down to 2.2. As Mac Backham trying to run him down in second. He's got about 0.7 of a second on David Jarvis. I can report that Jordan McDonald, he was back in racing in 13th position. He just put it in the wall as we speak. That's a top 20 driver. Not sure if our director can find that one. That just happened, and now he's found his way into pit lane. Jordan McDonald was having a good run. He was here. We're going to try this one, see if we can find it.
Yeah, he of course was carrying some damage with him, so that might have helped him into the wall, so to speak.
Just the tail end. We just got the tail end of that one. Oh, here we go. No, that's David Jarvis. It was Jordan McDonald who we were looking for there, but that is a nice group of cars we're looking at. Now we're looking at McDonald. I'm not sure this is it because he was alone when this happened. I think we might be too far back, Director. But there's some good racing going on anyway. So let's continue our run. McDonald now out of the mix. In second place is back, and we talked about him, Jarvis. Phil Reed racing in fourth. Luca Verani in fifth. Waddle in sixth. Gregory Olson in seventh. There we have it. And the last three drivers in your top 10, Jerry Merjak, Alexis Sorokin. He's started in ninth. He's up, still racing in ninth. And David Giovanni Sobietti racing in the... Oh, I'm sorry. He's a lap down in 31st. My problem. He is right ahead of Evan Emery.
Yeah, one thing that I noticed is Mac Beckham is not catching up as quick as I imagined to Mark Usher. Maybe Mark Usher was, at that moment, as I mentioned before, having a little bit of problem with lap traffic, and that was negative for his lap time. But the gap stays quite solid at the moment, just over 2 seconds. Not really increasing, not really decreasing. One gap that is increasing is the gap between Mac and David Jarvis. Mac is increasing the gap bit by bit, and it's currently 1.5 seconds between P2 and P3.
Go up to 10th here. This is Evan Rolling Thunder Imre, just ahead of Lubomir Morris, a couple drivers that are familiar with each other from the Apex Online Racing's Formula Renault Championship. They race for 10th. Up 5 spots is Imre. Morris up 3.
Yeah, they're both having a good race and really profiting from the misfortune of other drivers at the moment.
Yeah, let's stay on this a bit. If the other drivers will behave, we'll let the viewers catch their breath as we ride on board with Morris. They're going to be coming up on the lap car here of Solviati. Solviati still with pretty good pace. Actually, here comes the pass. Here comes Morris, gets the toe. He's going to make the move going into 5. He's in the preferred position, and he gets that done. Move Morris up into 10th. Emery back into 11th.
Beautiful textbook overtake.
Yep.
Really well done. The one driver that I have my eye on this race is in P12, one position behind this battling pair, Sarah Doves. She's having a great race, up from 22nd, I thought she was in qualifying.
Yeah.
So increased her position by 10 places already in 6-7 laps. That's really impressive from Sarah out there.
Yeah, looking at a top 10, she would be a feather in Dove's cap, no pun intended. And we look up, Verani just got passed. He was racing in 6th position. He just got passed by Angus Waddle. Waddle's on a move now. Waddle up to 5th. He's got a ways to go, 2.6 seconds to get up to Phil Reed.
Absolutely, and Angus Waddle, he only qualified in P5. Now you can say that's probably not one of the drivers who will really participate for the win, but you have to remember that Angus Waddle was the quickest driver out there in practice. So that guy really has speed. He actually set the quickest lap time so far during this session. So if one of the drivers actually has speed and can make some big moves towards the top position on the podium, it's Angus.
Sporting a 67 iRating. And now let's go ahead and look at Charlie Summers. Here's a driver we talked about. I believe Charlie didn't get into qualifying time, if I remember. Maybe got one in there. We'll check on him. Right now, he's in 19th position, working his way through the field. Charlie actually, yeah, I'm correct. He did not get a qualifying time, and he had to start in 45th position. Oh, Sarah Dove, let's get this one. She just had oh my goodness. She was going around that lapped car. Remember we talked about Sobiati? She got tangled up with him.
Horrible luck for Sarah Dove. Commentator's curse right there.
Yep. And also getting a piece of that is the Polish driver of Jacob GSRC. As he goes by, boom, right there. You saw GSRC get it.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Jacob at the moment. He's crabbing his way over the back straight. I really think it's Jacob's day over if he still has a fast repair left. But that's a long way from where he currently is back to the pits to get a new car.
Yeah, find him a butter and a hammer.
Oh, I see another crash in turn 3. Ivan Sanchez Gutierrez tried an overtake. I don't know which driver it was. I think it was on Jonathan Almenar.
Yeah, and that was coming up on that injured car of that we just talked about, Jazeris. Here it is right here. Watch, I think this is a matter of losing concentration.
Yeah, he didn't expect the cars in front to be as slow approaching the corner, I think, because the people in front lost some speed and he suddenly had to jump on the brake pedal and just the car snapped into the grass and then into the wall.
That was Jacob's Jamis car on the inside he was going by. Really didn't play a factor in it. Yeah, it was just the closing rate on the cars ahead.
And he's currently sporting some huge damage. He's crabbing over the grass. So the same as we talked about with the other driver, like he's probably trying to get his way back to the pits. But even from this point, it's a long way to try to control your car in such a state and make it to the pits.
We've talked about the cars up in the top 10. We've tried to run down a little bit of the next 10. Let's go to 21st position and quickly go through the field here, Director. In fact, this is a nice little battle. We're not going to run through the field. Look at this. This is Ladd, who's got around these guys. Remember, up in 19th position, that's Joshua Ladd. He's had issues that Johan documented so well. Now, behind them is Santiago Carducci, and they touch! Carducci and Baumann get together. Our spidey senses were tingling. Carducci incredibly low. This is like miscommunication.
Yeah, it seemed like Carducci went a little bit loose going out of the corner, and he lost a lot of speed and tried to basically block or let the other car pass. And miscommunication, as you say, Bill, and they touch each other and send each other into the wall.
Boy, I've been in that position when you are the slow car. The most important thing, the best thing you can do is go straight. When you try to be polite, I've caused more trouble being polite. So, our rundown. Go ahead.
It's quite difficult to pick out P21 if the cars are falling down the order.
Yeah.
Charlie Summers is currently in P21, it says for me.
Yeah, he is flying. But now he has lost a few spots. He was 21st the last time around. He is down 26 right now, according to our up-to-date timing and scoring. Let's go ahead and try from 21st one more time, Director. We're going to try to get 10 of them. Stay with me. 21st, Andrea Barchetti. He's got about 1.2 seconds back to Mike Cannon. Cannon started 18. He's fallen back 5 positions now in 22nd position, 4 positions. Behind them, Thomas Knoll. Knoll's up 3 spots.
Yeah, one driver that's up a lot of spots behind him, Marcio Marodini.
Doing really good. Yeah, started 33rd, up 9 positions. Let's go back a little more. There's Charlie Summer we talked about. He was as high as 21st, racing now in 25th. Go back to 26th, and Johan, you see who I'm looking at there? It is the guy we've been watching with that damaged car, the Polish driver, Jacob GSRC. I don't know. Did he actually come in and get a stop? I think he did.
I think he did. He had a really slow lap time last time around, 3 minutes. So, yeah. Back into the race. And he did have speed, though. So I'm quite curious if he can get the battle with the people in front, like Marcio, like Thomas, like Mike, if he can catch up to them and make something from this race, even when disaster struck and he was sent into the wall.
I must confess, I forget about the fast repair. That does change everything. These guys who are fast can come in, get that fast repair, get out there and do some more racing.
I think it's a good thing, especially for a race like this, which is mostly based on fun. Like, it doesn't matter, like, I think the most important thing for the driver is just to have fun and have people out there to battle on. If you have the fast repair, you always can battle your way back through the field, which really makes the most of this race.
Could not agree more. An event like this, that's what the fast repair is made for. Director, let's go to 28th. This is Marcin Kapkowski. He's in a nice little battle. Not sure if he is getting around and pulling away or if Daniel Letty is catching up behind him. I believe Kapkowski has already made the pass. But also, here comes Richard Katz. We tried to cover all the way through the field the best we can.
And one other battle I'm currently having my eye on is the battle for P4. Phil Reed on the heavy pressure of Angus Weddell, swinging his car side by side, going over the start-finish straight. That's a beautiful move. He had a great run coming out of the last corner and actually managed to use the draft and finish the move before they reached turn 1. Beautiful move of Angus.
That was it. That was the closing from Angus that we had been watching little by little now, and he finally does run down Reed. That he'll move him up to 4th. And it's not that far to get up to David Jarvis, only a second and a half to get to the driver in 3rd.
Exactly, and David Jarvis, I see, had a bad lap last time around. He was 3 seconds slower, so I think he might have had a little off moment somewhere, maybe some lap traffic. But, that surely increases the chances for Angus getting a podium tonight.
Up front, no reason to go there. It is still Mark Usher and Matt Backham. What we're looking at right now is the most interesting part inside the top 10.
Ooh, Saradov spins it on the exit of the last corner. Went a little bit wide over the exit. Couldn't control the car, couldn't keep it in a straight line, but did keep it out of the wall.
I don't think she hit anything, and I think she's only going to lose 1 position to Patrick Wardenberg. She's going to remain inside the top 20. There's Little Bird.
Yeah,
she was as high as a 12th. Honestly, I gotta think even a top 20, she's going to be pleased with that.
Yeah, probably. She still made up 2 positions from her starting position currently, as is when she started in 22nd. But with the pace that she showed earlier today, she might be able to close the gap back up to Patrick Wartenberg in P19.
Let's go to 3rd, Director, because this is interesting. Now, they're coming up behind Ivan Sanchez Gutierrez in 33rd position. Of course, I'm talking about David Jarvis. Why is this important? Because here comes Agnes Waddle. He is really flying.
Yeah, he sure is.
Jarvis going around the lap car. Go ahead, Johan.
Now, I wanted to say that Angus is indeed catching up, it seems, to David Jarvis, but also Phil Reed. He's able to stay with the driver who just passed him quite easily. Just a few tenths between the two drivers. So if Phil can keep up with Angus like he's currently doing, you might see a freeway battle for P3 in the race.
Tip of the hat to Gutierrez, who got on the binders, let those guys go by comfortably without slowing them down. So Waddell now just back by 1.1 second on Jarvis. Now, Director, let's go to 14th position that you want to do. This is David Santana being chased by, oh, we haven't talked much about him, Xavier Nowd. Nowd right behind him. Good battle for 14th.
Yeah, and they're quite close together, and especially if Nowd gets a good exit, as he currently does out of turn 2. Might be able to get a little bit of that extra drive, extra speed, and swing his cars side by side to David Santana's one into turn 3.
This is the passing zone right here. As they come up into 5, he's going to duck inside now. Oh, he's going to wait. But he's close enough. He knows he has plenty of laps. There's 10 more laps to get this done. He'll wait. Let's stay on this a bit more. This is fun. If we can watch it battle a little bit. We're right off the back of Santana, looking back at Xavier.
Yeah, well, one thing that I noticed with Xavier, he showed his face going into turn 3, basically by going to the inside line, and he did not make the pass, but he did scare David Santana a little bit by doing that, because David Santana went wide, and Xavier is closer now than he was before. Going through the carousel now, if he can stay close like this, he might be able to launch another attack going after the king, especially if David Santana goes a little bit wide. Xavier is way cleaner, way more to the apex. Oh, this is a great run from Xavier. He already is in his gearbox in the kink.
Yeah, he actually got there too fast. You don't want to go side by side to the kink, but now, as they head down to Canada corner, let's see what type of line Santana takes. He's going to leave the inside open. And is he going to tuck it? He's going to try to do it in braking. He gets there. And boy, that was pretty.
Very beautiful overtaking maneuver. He braked a little bit too late. You could see the rear stepping out slightly from Xavier, but he got it slowed down perfectly. Really beautiful overtaking maneuver.
So move now up into 14th. Santana
one move at the moment, sorry Bill, for P3. I see Angus Weddell side by side with David Jarvis going into turn 3.
Boy, it did not take him long to get there.
No, textbook maneuver from Angus. Beautiful, sliding it down. David Jarvis taking back that podium position. I'm seeing a little bit behind Phil Reed, couldn't keep up with him. So Phil Reed is around 1.5 seconds behind the battle for P3 at the moment. And now we'll be curious to see if David is able to stay in the draft of Angus and basically relaunch an attack for P3 going after the king.
Yeah, you called it. Reed got passed by Waddell and then Waddell, and then tried to hang on him but couldn't do it. He's lost touch with it now. Now Jarvis trying to do what Reed couldn't do. And boy, Angus is moving though.
Yeah, he sure is. Let me take a look at his lap time so far. He's done a 2:02 so far, as quickest lap time in the race. If I compare it with Mac now, Mac and Mark are the current drivers in P2 and P1, are quicker than Angus though, so I don't think that he will be able to catch up to those top people in the podium positions. But yeah, he's really defending P3 so far. But David is still right behind him.
Yeah, I thought Angus was going to pull away, but Jarvis doing a good job of sticking with. Let's stay here now because this is down the main straight. If he's close, boy, he's about 4 or 5 car lengths back. Did not get a good drive, and I'm talking about Jarvis out of that final corner.
It seemed like he steered in maybe a little bit too early, caught the curb a little bit too hard, and that lost him some traction. So he's able to catch up a little bit in the draft, but not enough to probably do an overtaking maneuver going into turn 1.
Let's go ahead and stay on this a while longer because now they go through 2 and then through 3. This is his right-hander. Then there's another great passing opportunity. The straight's not quite as long, but it's down into 5. It's that left-hander that we've seen a lot of action. I think Jarvis might be too far back, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can just see the lines that Angus is taking. He's getting such good tractions out of the corner. He's really putting the hammer down at the moment. So, like you say, Bill, I think that the draft, it probably won't help him to stay up. I think he really needs to try and force Angus into making a small mistake and capitalize on that, because otherwise I don't see him being able to go for P3 anytime soon.
Let's go ahead. We're going to go to 50. We'll leave that one. It looks like that's settling down. Our director's found one here. Let's go back to... Oh, this is a nice one. Oh, here's our guy that's trying to make up. This is Joshua Ladd and Xavier Naud.
Yeah, Joshua, who had a great qualifying starting in P8 and then disaster struck and he's trying to battle his way back. And Xavier, who started in 32nd and is having a great event so far, battling his way up half of the positions like deficit to P16.
You have to remember that Ladd is sitting there in 15th. He's made a pit stop. He got a fresh car. It just goes to show you how competitive he was, and he's trying to salvage his day. It'll be hard for him to get back up to the 8th place that he qualified, but nevertheless, he was as far down as I think like 25th or 26th. Looks like that one is cooling off a bit.
Yeah, one battle. I'm still looking at the P3 battle between Angus and David because Angus has caught up to traffic. Steve Bowman is right in front of him as they enter the start-finish straight.
Now, I prefer Bowman were off on the left and staying on the racing line, but this is okay. The problem is when you make this pass, can you maybe a little bit of a lift here might help? They're plenty. The straights are so long. There we go.
And I think this has ruined the chances of David because not only like is he stuck behind, he probably had to brake a little bit there for the lapped car, but Angus also got a great amount of draft going out of the last corner. That really helped him. Oh, Mac Beckham is off.
Yeah,
Mac Beckham just went off.
That's right in front of the cars we were watching.
Oh, he touched the curb and his car just spun around. We're seeing it here on the replay now.
There it is. So he loses a position. We're going to back it up a little bit further. He loses a position to Jarvis. And Reed also gets him. Yeah. Let's stay on it after the spin because this is where the fun starts.
Yeah, he just touches the curb and loses grip because of that, and his car just spins around, probably pushing to try and close up the deficit to Mark Uship to battle for P1. And well, you can see all the other cars, all his rivals now passing him while he's getting completely overtaken on the straight.
Two of the cars in there were Jarvis and Reed. So now we are back live. Here comes back. He's trying to make it back. That's Reed. They're going around the lap car. That was Bauman. Boy, he's been in a lot of accidents here today. Reed now on the front. Beckham trying to come in behind. They have David Jarvis up ahead. A nice battle for second.
Absolutely. And I think that Mac Beckham actually can make his way back to the podium with the speed he has been showing so far. He's really close to Phil Reed now. Phil, who had a little bit of a problem with David Bowman, or Steve Bowman, he caught him exactly at the wrong time. And that really helped Mac to close up the deficit to him. We're going onto the straight. It doesn't seem like he has the draft at the moment or the overdrive to launch and overtake for P4.
Boy, that's an interesting line. Reed took that defensive line down in there, but Beckham didn't even get behind to get the draft.
One car I see falling down the order is Angus Weddle. He's 6th currently.
Back to see if we can find out what happened to him.
Yeah, earlier in the lap, I completely missed this, Bill, but apparently in turn 4, he went too wide on the exit and spun his car around a little bit. Kind of the same thing that Mac Beckham did, not under pressure or anything, but just trying to push and keep his lap times consistently and as quick as possible. He just gave a little bit too much, touched the grass, and the car went around.
Honestly, I was about to say about 5 minutes ago that the podiums were locked in. I really thought they were. They were all comfortable. Mark Usher, the only podium driver not having problems right now. David Jarvis in second. He looks comfortable. Let's check in on Phil Reed.
Phil Reed again in the kink he is coming up to.
And now they work their way through the carousel.
Apologies, I was still.
That's all right. I've been there. Now let's see if Beckham gets a run here and tries something down into Canada. You almost got to wonder. These Renaults are so fragile. You wonder if his trip through the alfalfa maybe damaged the car a little bit. He's got to run. Half a car length back. He's going to duck inside. Let's see if he can do it under braking. He's going to force the issue. Reed really pins him down in there. Side by side through Canada now. Reed still with an advantage. Beckham trying to hang in there. He's close enough that he's going to have a great run out of 14. He may get it done before 14. No, he has to check up. Actually, he's going to lose a lot of momentum. That's so he can get a good drive off of the final corner. Oh, good night, Nurse. This thing is all over. I think the momentum from Beckham is going to get it. Reed tries to take a defensive line down the straight, but this is a really long straight. They are side by side. Cialis bathtubs down into one. Reed tries to hang on. He's about a half car length back, but he's in the first position. And now he backs out. Beckham is going to get the pass. Nice pass. Nice racing for both drivers.
Absolutely. Beautiful move from Beckham. And I'm really curious if he can, because there's only 2-second gap to P2 at the moment, David Jarvis. So even though everything might have seemed lost when he spun out of P2 and fell back to P5, he's actually making his ground up almost back to the position where he was.
1.8 seconds behind Jarvis right now. Mark that down on your clipboards. We'll track that. Only 5 laps to get it done. Let's go back to this battle here, this 19th. We haven't talked much about it. This is Mike Cannon. He's got about 0.3 of a second on David Santana. These guys raced just inside the top 20. Now, when last I looked, Sarah Dove was there. I don't see Sarah. Is she in front of these guys, or is Sarah? Sarah's up in 18th. Okay.
Yeah, and I think David Santana had a little bit of a difficulty last lap around, because last lap he only did a 2:26, so that probably sent Sarah Dove past him and also Mike Cannon.
Let's go up a few spots to 15th. This is Xavier Naoud in a battle. Right behind him with, a driver we have talked absolutely nothing about. Let's talk about Derek Beattie, racing in 16th. Now, I think, actually, Beattie was behind him at the start-finish line, so Beattie's running him down.
Yeah, and Derek Beattie is having a great race. He started in 38. He's already making his way up to 16th, so that's a really impressive performance of him so far. And he's actually getting into the groove, I think, because if I look at his lap times, his last time around was a 2:46, quicker than his quali time.
Remember, here at GSRC, we're trying to show you all the action, so if we're jumping around a little bit, that's just because we're trying to give love to all the drivers that are out there. Looking at Luca Verani, who apparently had an issue. Is that what I'm hearing from the director? We'll see if we can find it. He was in 5th position. Oh, my goodness. He's had to come into the pits. He has not had an issue. He had some serious problem. We're going to look one more time as we're going to back up a little bit more. He was inside the top 5.
And also, just as the other drivers in the top 5, he did it on his own. See, he's coming up to the corner now.
Oh. I found it, and then he puts it in the tires, and the car sticks, so this is not even a bounce off. Ouch.
Front wing and suspension damage, and that doesn't help in these cars. He is back on track, though. He's coming out of the pits as we speak, but he's falling down the order tremendously. Just in front of Chris Berger, so falling back to P11 if I'm correct.
Look at this battle for second. Mac Backham being chased by Phil Reed, and actually David Jarvis in there as well. They go around the lapped car of Jonathan Almanar. He gets out of the way. This is with 4 laps to go. Can we go to Lance Simon, director? Was in 33rd position last time around. Remember, he was a driver who started in last position that I said the over-under was 32.5. He had made it all the way up to 33rd. Lance just put his car in the wall. We're going to look for a replay on this. The only reason we would bring this up is he was, for those of you who did get to the betting window, he was up to 33rd at the time of the crash. If you bet the over, you are a winner.
Going back to P3 now, if you can. Mac Beckham is under heavy pressure of Phil Reed. The top, 2, 3, 4 drivers have caught up with each other tremendously. They're separated under a blanket of 2 seconds at the moment. And Phil Reed is really getting a run on Mac Beckham now, going out of turn 2. Doesn't seem to have the drive that he had on the previous straight, but still really close. Mac Beckham, though, seems to have found the drive. Less than a second to David.
Yeah, Reed sits in 4th. I don't think I've actually seen him pass anybody on the track. He's passed drivers in front of him when they've gone off the grass, and then they come back around him, then they make a mistake. Right now, he is really putting the pressure on Mac Backham.
I mean, it is quite a long race, like 21 laps. That's at least more than 40 minutes in this car. So there's a little bit of endurance that comes to there. You have to be consistent all the time. And Phil's probably showing that. He started in P7, made up 3 spots as we speak. And if he just stays clean, and you've seen it with the mistakes that his rivals has been making, he can really make up positions, even if he maybe doesn't have the speed that his rivals do have.
Now they work through the carousel where Backham has been really strong all race. They got a lap car ahead of him, or Marcelo Meriden. They're going to get around him. I think this Jarvis is going to catch him right at the kink. Meriden gets out of the way.
And Beckham, who had a slightly wider line in the carousel, he might have done it on purpose to make sure that he is not stuck behind Jarvis and the lapped car going through the kink, because that will really hurt your chances. David was a little bit stuck behind him. You can see he immediately closes up the gap almost completely. And he might be able to try for an overtake going on the start-finish straight.
Yeah, if he can get a good run out of this final corner here, 14, I think he's got to run. Let's see what type of line that David Jarvis takes. Right now, he's staying to the left. He gets one move. Is he going to come across and block? He's going to hold it straight. Here comes Backham.
Yeah, I think that David knew what time it was. Like, he had a slightly worse exit going out of the last corner, and he probably felt like, yeah, Mac is going to catch him.
Yeah.
He didn't completely get him, though, before turn 1. I think that if David might have defended that, he might have had the inside still going through turn 1.
All right, David definitely got on the brakes first. He didn't like his position out there, so Smack'em Mac Backham has worked his way back up to second. Boy, he has had an eventful race. Back up into second. Jarvis in third.
For how long will he keep it, though? Because David is getting a great run.
Let's come back, and he's got him. Oh, in through 5. You can see the defensive line. Backham gets a little bit squirrely.
Yeah, but he has enough speed, though. Ooh. Oh, wow. Did they touch her?
Maybe a touch, but Backham gets loose out of 6. Now through the carousel, side by side, back in the popcorn position is Phil Reed.
With only 2 more laps to go, this is where the marbles fall. Oh, Jarvis almost touches the left rear wheel of Mac Backham there. Had to slow down a little bit, and that catches him up to Phil Reed. Phil Reed really in the gearbox as we speak of David.
Reed did a great job of not punting Jarvis. And all that little, the lack of control there stretches them out a little bit. They race with 2 laps to go. All this behind the leader. We don't need to go there. He is up by 14 seconds on these guys. Riding on board with Reed. Ooh.
He had a great overdrive there, and he could probably have made the move, but I might think that Phil's thinking about the bigger picture, because he could have made an overtaking maneuver there, but that would have meant both David and he would have lost time. So maybe he just chooses to stay a little bit longer behind him, so they don't lose the draft, don't lose the position, don't lose the time to P2.
They'll be given the white flag right now as they come underneath it. Mark Usher has already got it 14 seconds ago. Let's watch Reed back in 4th position right now. He's too far back, not going to make a move here. How about a move for 2nd? Look at Backham takes the defensive line. Oh, really squirrely as Jarvis.
He touched the grass, and that really unsettled his car. Great job, by the way, from David Jarvis to not spin his car right in front of Phil Reed. Also, a great job not losing that much speed, to be honest, when your car gets unsettled that much, when it gets loose that much, because he's still in the gearbox of Mac going towards turn 3.
Look at the defensive line, Johan, that Backham takes. Now he tries to ease over. They're going to go side by side into 5.
Yeah, this would be a great view for Phil Reed, because he will get the only perfect line, while the line for the 2 people in front is obstructed. He can get a little bit more speed. Now still side by side, Backham and David.
They got a lap car in front. I don't think they're going to get there of Noel. I don't think he's going to be an issue. Backham still out in front. Now they get to the carousel where Backham has been really strong. But look, they are nose to tail. And here comes a move even before they get there.
Again, Backham has to go on the defensive. To the carousel, he doesn't have to, though. Jarvis is on rails behind him. Hooked up in his draft.
All this going on behind our leader who's in Canada. We'll go ahead and cover that when he crosses the start-finish line. Here comes the battle. Oh, he's right behind him. Jarvis right on his tail as they head down into Canada right now, side by side. Let's stay on this one. The momentum is to Jarvis on the outside. They get around the lap car. Usher is out of the final corner, coming across the start-finish line. The first ever Week 13 big grid for the Formula Renaults goes to Mark Usher. Let's go back to second position now. Beckham, they're side by side. They touch. It's a drag race to the start-finish line. Who's going to get it?
Phil Reed is getting the
Phil
overdrive.
Reed
It's
is
going
coming.
to the grass.
There's no room out there. It goes to Mac Beckham. David Jarvis gets third.
11 thousandths of a second. Great defensive maneuver from Mac Beckham there, getting P2 in front of David.
Reed has to settle for fourth. He might have had second if the track was a little wider. Let's check back in on Joshua Ladd. He's in a battle with Xavier Naud behind him. They work through the kink. They touch. They bang doors. They think they're driving NASCARs.
I don't think you can put a hair between those two cars. Oh, they touch again. They touch again. Oh, I think he has damage. I think not as damage. He squirrels a little bit. That seems like Ladd has the P14 there.
So now job is not done. Yes, Ladd's going to get 14th, but now he's under attack by Derek Beatty. I think Derek Beatty could have a run out of this final corner as they head towards the start-finish line, which is a long way down the straight. But don't forget about the driver who's a little farther back. That's Beatty, Naud, and Ladd. Naud's going to get Ladd. Here comes Beatty underneath. Is there enough room? Beatty gets one, but not the other.
Beautiful driving for Derek Beatty. Never give up, and he gets Joshua Ladd just before the finish line.
Naud gets 14th. Beatty gets 15th. Joshua Ladd gets 16th. Those are the last cars. I think everything is done. Last car on the lead lap coming across right now. Andrew Brachetti coming home in 22nd position. The racing is over here at Road America. Our broadcast is far from done. What we're going to do right now on GSRC is take a short break. Then we'll come back to run down the entire finishing order, talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate. Back in a few. Welcome back to the first Week 13 Formula Renault 2.0 Big Grid from Road America. Yes, it was a wire-to-wire victory, but probably the most exciting wire-to-wire you'll ever see. Not a lot of action up front, but man, the battle for second was incredible. Let's run through the finishing order right now. Mark Usher did go wire-to-wire, coming home comfortably ahead by 15 seconds over Mac Beckham. Now, the battle for second was something else between Beckham, David Jarvis, and Phil Reed. That's the order they finish in, but it was really close. Only a few tenths of a second separating all three. Agnes Waddle was up and down. He comes home in fifth position. Here's a driver that really was by himself the whole race. Did not get a lot of love from GSRC, but how about some love now to Gregory Olson in sixth? Seventh also to Jerry Merchak. He did not get a lot of attention either. We talked about Lubomir Morris and Christoph Amon. They come home eighth and ninth, with Alexei Siretkin coming home in 10th. Johan?
In P11, we see the race organizer, Luca Farini. He was driving so well in the top 5, but a little mistake sent him back down the order in front of Chris Burgess in P12. Evan RT Imre settling down for P13 in front of Xavier Knott, Derek Beatty, and Joshua Lett. I just want to say, look at the race times. Look at the gaps between Xavier, Derek, and Joshua. So close, so hard driving. It was great to see. The drivers finished in front of Patrick Wartenberg, closing down in P17. Sarah Dove recovering a little bit, down to P18 in front of Mike Cannon. And the last driver in the top 20, Charlie Summers.
A lot of great racing put on by those drivers, and some great racing put on by these guys that finished in the next 10. Hidden Blackjack is David Santana, just ahead of Andrea Brachetti. Brachetti, the last driver on the lead lap. Then we go to the cars that are at least one lap down. That's Thomas Newell, Marcio Meriden, Jonathan Almanar, Steve Bauman in 26th position. 28th was Marcin Kapkowski. Richard Kez in 28th position. The last two spots, 29th and 30th, go to David Giovanni Solbiati and Daniel Martin Lette.
Yeah, and then we come to the drivers who had not such a good race today. In 31st, Jason Wenger in front of the Polish driver Jakub Jezierski. Lance Simon coming home in 33rd in front of Ivan Sanchez Gutierrez. Mikael Nasser finishes the race in 35th in front of Santiago Carducci. Giovanni Celito running out the race in 37th in front of Jordan McDonnell, William Nowell, and Scott Clark, finishing in 40th place.
41st position goes to Carlos Alvarez Diaz, Dan Lathan behind him, James Stone, Tim Phillips, and Alistair Hay round out your field. Patrick Kessler did not take the grid. And just to tell you, I need how great I am when it comes to setting a betting line. Lance Simon, I said 32.5. He came home in 33. So if you bet the over, go collect. All right, let's go ahead and see who we can talk to here. Looking for the ready to interview. I do not see Mark Usher available for us, but I do see, is that David Jarvis? I guess we can talk to our third place finisher today. David, this is Soup. Do you have a copy?
I do. Can you hear me?
Yes, very clearly. My gosh, yes, there was a runaway battle up in front for Mark Usher, but the fight behind him, what great racing going on back there.
It's insane. I figured at the beginning I was sort of just playing it safe, really, just cruising around, seeing what would happen. And mid-race, my pace just seemed to drop, and I was just sort of hanging on, made quite a big mistake, and just hoping that it was all going to come good in the end. Shame I missed out on the second, but it was a really great battle.
When Mac got around you, then you did your best to hang on. You had to be happy that you had a shot on him on the last lap.
No, and I just couldn't resist slinging it down the inside on the last corner, and then it was a drag race to the line.
Well, you know, it's great. So often on these events that are just for fun, when there's no points to race, sometimes the racing is a little sloppy because people misbehave. Thought the racing between you and Backham and Phil Reed back there as well in the mix. Some great, you guys put on a great show. Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Hey, before I let you go, what is your favorite car in iRacing? Is it this Formula Renault?
Yes, I'd say it's the Renault. I've dabbled a little bit in the 488 Ferrari lately. It's quite a fun car to jump in, but the setup changes put me off. Whereas the Renault is relatively simple, and I think for me that's when times just want to spend as little time testing and as much time racing.
There you go. Congratulations. We're looking forward to seeing you again on a GSRC broadcast. David Jarvis, your third place finisher today. I think we're going to be able to let Johan talk to our race winner. I don't see him. Can somebody bring him down here?
Mac Beckham, do you have a copy?
Yes, I do.
Mac, well, you had a great battle down there at the wire. How was it for you? Are you disappointed that you had to fight for P2 in the end, or are you a little bit sad that you couldn't go for P1?
Well, I was really hoping to go for P1, and I think early in the race, me and Mark had very similar pace. The only difference was that I was making so many mistakes, and he was a lot cleaner, so he just kept pulling away a little bit. And then I thought, oh, this is just gonna cruise home to second. And then I spun, and when I spun, I was thinking, oh man, this really sucks. But yeah, then in the last 5 laps, things were so exciting. So in the end, it's not a bad thing that I spun, because really, yeah, helped make the race come a bit more alive.
Well, it surely helped the race come alive from our point of view, because it was a beautiful battle at the end. And I'm wondering, Mac, what was basically your strategy? Because you were so close with David and Phil at the end. Like, what was basically going through your mind going into the last lap? How did you try to position yourself?
Well, I don't know. I just didn't really think about it all too much. I just wanted to be in the lead and then see what happened, try and defend. I wasn't really sure how strong the drop was. This is pretty much only my second time racing the car, so I really didn't have a proper idea of how much the drop would have an effect. So I just really tried to stay in the lead, take the inside lines after all the straights, and yeah, that seemed to work out in the end, even though it was by a small margin.
Especially, well, you say it's only the second time in this car. Is it something that you're going to continue coming back to going forward?
I'm not sure. I mean, the car is a lot of fun to race. It's very light and nimble, and you can really go side by side. So that's a lot of fun. But yeah, currently my schedule is just super full with WCS and the new VRS GT series and stuff. So it's hard to fit in. But if I ever get the time, it's definitely something I'd like to do more. Yeah.
I imagine. Well, it was great seeing you out there. You surely brought some fireworks to the party in the race today. Congratulations, at least with P2. Mac Beckham.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now we're going to go ahead and talk to the driver who came in fourth. Now, I've known Phil for a long time. We've called a lot of races of the Apex Online Racing League, so he's going to be able to understand this question. Phil, you finished fourth. I don't know if you actually passed anybody on the track today. Did you actually pass a driver on the gray part of the property?
Does it count if they were going half my speed? Because I passed a few of them if they were going half my speed.
What an exciting race. The fast drivers kept spinning. They kept getting back behind you and then going around you again. Man, and then you had a shot. You just ran out of pavement to race on it out of that final corner.
Yeah. I thought I'd make it exciting. I could have gone one way, but that's boring. Go on the grass, get some bumps. It's all for the fun, all for the show. Yeah, it's been a good race actually. The entire thing. It's been nice to join a race for the first time in probably 3 months. I haven't really done racing for a while. I think you know that, as you say, broadcasting our league. Obviously, I didn't run it last season. Yeah, so it was just good to get back in, and after those few laps of just following those guys, waiting for something to happen, and they did some good stuff, rubbing wheels, but never really causing anything problem. So didn't quite get my opportunity, but yeah, good times.
Now I know that the Apex series follows the iRacing schedule, whatever iRacing races, that's what you guys race. So when you were racing, did you race in the official series a lot? And do you know some of these other guys? Have you ever raced against Backham before or Jarvis?
I've never raced against Backham before. I've raced against Jarvis before. Jarvis was a part of the AOR League at one point as well, back in the day. But yeah, in official races, I used to do a lot more in seasons gone by when the Formula Renault first came out. The first 4 or 5 seasons, I would run in all the time and sort of backed it out a little bit, doing just sort of dipping my hand in a few other places. But yeah, I have raced a lot of these guys before. I haven't actually raced Luca before, I must admit, and Obviously, I've seen Luca's name around a lot. He's the guy that sets most of the stuff up for Formula Renault. So he's a top guy in my book, and he's done a nice, really good event here. And yeah, it's been good.
Well, fourth place finish. The rust was not showing. Congratulations. You put on a good show.
Thank you very much.
Phil Reed, our fourth place finisher today, and one of the best interviews on iRacing. Director, I need some information. Do we have one more, or are we closing it up? We're going to go one more. We're going to go with, we're going to bring, maybe we should talk to Luca. Can we do that? Or who we got? Oh, we got Sarah. Okay, we got Sarah.
Hey, Sarah. Good afternoon. Sarah, P18 in the end. You were surely featured quite a lot on the broadcast. How was it out there for you?
It was a little bit rusty at the start. And Road America is not my best track, so it was a bit iffy. It wasn't going very fast, but it was pretty good racing. And then I kind of got involved with a lapped car that they thought that they'd cleared me, and I thought that I'd cleared them, but neither of us had, so we just drove into each other. But yeah.
Yeah, we caught that unfortunate moment. Still, you had some great battles out there. P18, something you're satisfied with?
Yeah, and I could have done better. I could maybe have had top 10, but 18's good, yeah.
It was at least good seeing you out there giving us a show. Shame that the incidents happened, but yeah, you really gave a good show to us. Thank you for talking to us, Sarah Duff.
Thank you.
And we're going to wrap it up. We would be remiss if we did not bring in for the final interview the man who puts this thing all together. Let's go ahead and talk to Luca Varani. Luca, you got to be pleased with this. Good event.
Hi, guys. Thanks a lot for covering the event as usual, as you started doing for the SRF. I hope it was fun. I don't know. I look forward to watching the replays as usual.
You were as high as fifth, I believe, and then you ran into some trouble.
Yeah, very disappointed with my race, to be honest. I had problems starting in qualify. I don't know why, but my PC started stuttering and crashing, and then it was stuttering the whole race, and I ended up making a few small mistakes. It happens. I have heard a lot of people complaining about server problems maybe today, so maybe there is something going on with the 12 hours race at Sebring. I don't know. But anyway, it was fun until it lasted. I was actually being careful and watching the cars around me, running my pace. I could have been a little faster, but well, I just blew it 3 laps from the end or whatever.
We're familiar with your work with the SRF. Now you've gone over and we've done this in the Formula Renault. Is the Renault something we might see again coming up in 13 weeks from now?
Yes, that's the idea. This is called the Forced for a reason. Actually, next season in 3 months' time, I want to make it a charity event, like we did a couple of years ago.
Right.
So please stay tuned.
Well, I think it's a great combination. The cars put on a good show. Congratulations for doing this, and thank you for doing this. And we look forward to doing whatever you have in store for us in 13 weeks.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate your work. It's always excellent.
Thanks a lot. Luca Varani, the series organizer, and he comes home in 11th position, was as high as 5th. Okay, that's going to do it for us here at the Global Sim Racing Channel. Let's go ahead and tell you who are the people that made this possible. We have to thank everybody in the Formula Renault 2.0 community for making this event a success, and especially the guy we just talked to, Luca Varani, for organizing the entire affair and contracting with GSRC to bring it to you. We know you have a lot of choices when you fly. Thanks for flying GSRC for their generous contributions. A special thanks to these fine members here: David Boutilar, Marcin Kaplowski, Christoph Amon, Tom Depke, Jonathan Amelnar, Clark Williams, Giovanni Saletto, and Patrick Kessler. They helped get this show on the air. Thanks to the company's equipment and software that you see on the screen right now that we use on the broadcast. The iconic original music that lets your eyes alert your ears alert your eyes that you're watching a GSRC broadcast comes courtesy of Eric Eckelm and Casey Lalonde. See the screen to how to contact each of them.
As you just heard from Luca, watch for the second edition of the Week 13 Formula Renault 2.0 Big Grid Race to return the week of June 9th. GSRC hopes to be there and to bring you all the action once again, and we hope you join us. And until then, take note of the upcoming broadcasts sliding across your screen now. Mark them down in your calendar so you don't miss them. And if you'd like more information about GSRC, including a complete list of future broadcasts, you can find them all at www.globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on social media on Twitter at GSRC Channel, or GSR Channel, and Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel. And while you're here, if you haven't done it yet, subscribe to us by simply hitting the button on this YouTube channel.
Finally, on behalf of the man whose voice you just heard, the fan belt, Johan van de Velde, our director, Sean Ambrose, and our camera artist, Dougie Beard, I'd like to thank you all for watching. With that said, we're off to have fun, storm of the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.